This is Chris from Schwa MotorSports. Today we are driving my 1988 Pontiac Fiero. This car has gone through a lot of different things done to it. And right now, that's a turbo VR6 out of a 2004 GTI. 6-speed manual and everything was brought over into the car. Even the shift box was brought over so that I didn't have to deal with the factory Fiero shifters inadequacies. Also really helped for the whole push down for reverse. That was a nice feature to keep for the car. This particular car was the first car I ever bought when I was 16. It was a base coupe, 4-cylinder, automatic, nothing to it. The only option it had was air conditioning, and maybe you can see them, T-tops. Started as an Iron Duke with a 3-speed automatic. It was a 2.5 liter iron block, iron head 4-cylinder. Really not much to speak of. I think 98 horsepower is what they got to by 88, and it was enough for me back then because I truly just like cruising. I don't have to have crazy horsepower, but when you can, why wouldn't you? So this car got swapped to a supercharged 3.8 liter with its 4-speed automatic, which is a very common swap to be done to these cars. Well documented, lots of information, lots of people doing it, and a huge improvement to the car. Increased reliability, horsepower, and even fuel economy due to the overdrive transmission. So, needless to say, when I was 17 and doing my first engine swap, that's what I did. Issue after issue, mostly due to the fact that I was new at it. I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to learn. So I ended up getting HP tuners, learning how to tune, trying to fight issues. I was fighting false knock constantly. Well, I finally gave in, told myself I needed to learn how to drive a manual, and started a 5-speed swap on the car. Fieros, they're Legos. Every little piece swaps over. You can get the shifter bolted in, the clutch line bolted in, the clutch pedal bolted in. Everything you could need worked. And probably had it, I don't know, I didn't have a very long manual. I was fighting issues because, of course, as you do when you're learning to swap stuff and modify stuff, I converted the car to a different bolt pattern, bigger wheels, bigger tires, and I messed something up, and I had a vibration. Well, that vibration just killed the car for me. I just couldn't drive it in the same way anymore. It had me unnerved, and you really couldn't go over 60 miles an hour with it, so it became a city car. Started up beautifully, ran beautifully, but just didn't go very fast. After, how long? I don't know, probably a year, maybe 2 years, just one quick cruise around town, and I had a semi-truck basically change 2 lanes at once and sideswiped the car. Just destroyed the passenger side of it. The wheels I had bought, mangled. The bodywork that had been done, destroyed. Everything was just gone. So the wrecked chassis just sat. I had no use for it. So I put the motor in another guy's car, a 1988 Mira, which is a cool thing that Pontiac did. I'll show some pictures of that shortly. Nothing was done. I took the suspension off, the body off, everything that was left. I had given up on the car. And then my painter came through. He took the car, he was going to make something out of it, and he started to do some body work and just kind of fix the body damage. He stripped it, cut off the pieces that were bad, replaced replaced him with new pieces, and all of a sudden, I was excited. He was building it for himself, but I was too excited. I just finished a 3.9 liter swap, same motor that I've put in a few other Fieros. This was the first one I had done. He was really excited about it. So we ended up doing some trading, and he ended up with that car, and he put this one back together for me. Well, it wasn't done completely. We knew we were doing a wide body. We knew we were doing a fastback swap with coupe bumpers. We were doing some stuff that was a little bit different, not that crazy, but not everybody was necessarily doing that. And tight turn here. I'm never in a low enough gear. Can't help myself. I don't want to push the car and I get scared, so. I'm a grandma driver. Everybody here's gonna learn that I do not abuse my cars as much as some people do. So might let some people down, and I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna get better at it. Back to the story. So he started fixing the chassis. He started building up a wide body. I started building up a little GM V6 with a turbo on it for the car, and started putting things together, and spent a year without a body with a little turbo 2.8 liter GM motor. Well, rod bearings went out, lost a lifter, and basically swapped another motor, this time a 3.4 liter out of like a Grand Am, swapped it in, much better. This is how the car was when we went to the 35th anniversary, and if you've ever seen pictures of it there, I'll show some here. It had the 3.4 liter, and it drove home the 7 hours with another local driving it because his car died. We put his car on my trailer, and this car made the trip home. And then very shortly after, we did our first Eureka Springs trip as a club, and car did beautifully. Wonderful down there and back, but it wasn't unique enough for me. And of course, as you'll see with most of my cars, I like VR6s. So I just had to make it happen. I wanted to do something unique. I wanted a better shifter. Honestly, the whole swap, you could base it on this shifter. The Fiero ones just never satisfied me, so I needed this. Well, it lasted about a year with that 3400. The VR6 went in the next year, and it spent, I don't know, it probably wasn't in a month or two before we were driving 700 miles down to Eureka Springs, around Eureka Springs, and back. And again, did great. I was too scared to boost that entire year though. So come the next year, I was getting into power. I was starting to push it, and I was having a lot of fun with it. And I started to blow stuff up. Intake manifold, it's a plastic manifold. I had to cut it and glue it back together to fit the Fiero, and it broke twice, maybe 3 times. But it broke, it exploded. It blew one of the caps off that I made, and only left it stranded once though. Most of the times it was in the driveway on startup. I had, of course, I ended up with knockoff injectors. They were not flowing right and not flowing even. And that caused a little bit of extra fueling at startups, and I'd get some intake backfires, and of course, blew up the plastic. So as we're driving it right now, this has a Eurovan intake manifold that I have modified significantly to fit in here, removing the 2-stage intake system that gave it the low-end torque and the top-end power, and adding a couple large plenums to it to give it a little more area, a little more port volume to flow on, and to try to get the VR6 growl back. And granted, this doesn't sound like my TT with the R32 motor and a turbo. But it still has an amazingly unique sound, and the intake just growls. The rear does have coilovers, but in the Fiero world, coilovers are really just a cut-down strut with an adjustable sleeve on it. So it's a little less fancy than it sounds, but it still allows you to have a 2.5 tire in the front allows for a lot more traction with this wide body than the factory car has, and looks a whole lot better given that big meaty tire look. Of course, custom exhaust. Anytime you have a turbo, anytime you have an engine swap, you got to build new exhaust. Little muffler on it, just right out the back. I built a custom tailpipe, kind of reminiscent of the Lamborghini. They have that centered singles pipe. I made mine a little more rounded to fit the curves of the Fiero, and not as delicately done. It's more kind of slapped on there, but it gets the exhaust out the back, quiets down the cabin quite a bit, and makes the sound pronounced when you want it to be. I need to weigh this car. The factory Fiero 88 Coupe, you're probably talking a 2,800, 2,900 pound car. When I had the turbo aluminum head V6 GM motor in here with a very small turbo, so not a lot of weight from that, and very short intercooler piping, so not a lot of weight from that either. I think it came in right at 2,900, so fairly lightweight given a wide body car with big tires and big wheels. I haven't actually weighed it since the VR6 swap, so I'll have to do that here pretty soon just to kind of see where we got. Driveway paved this year, and if it wasn't covered in mud, I'd be taking it a lot crazier. It's just a blast getting to have a driveway that isn't gravel that you can have some fun on. Well, thanks everybody for going on a ride along with me in my Fiero. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Definitely keep an eye out for more. I will be doing all the cars one by one, and that's going to take a while. So keep an eye out, and you'll be seeing more of our crazy collection. We learned to park in the new garage here. Shouldn't be doing that on camera. Don't want to show how bad of a job I did.